Make sure you know your number and you get started, because success loves speed. The sooner you get started and the sooner you get locked in, the more you'll find exactly what you're looking for.
Welcome to the Contrarian Capitalist Podcast, the ultimate destination for accredited investors and entrepreneurs seeking alternative wealth-building strategies. Discover how to fast-track your journey to wealth and time freedom by thinking outside the box. If you're ready to join the ranks of the Contrarian Capitalists and learn the most effective ways to reach your financial goals faster, you're in the right place. Let's get started with today's episode of the Contrarian Capitalist Podcast.
Thank you once again for listening to another episode of the Contrarian Capitalist Podcast. I'm your host and your favorite silverback, Sylvania Harrod. And for the next couple of episodes, I've had a few people that have reached out to me. And as I've always told you, this podcast is a two-way communication street. So I want to make sure that I'm able to help enlighten you based on your own personal desires of what you want. One of the questions that was posed of me was, I want to be able to take action. I want to go from being introduced to you to taking action in the next 90 days. What would I need to do? And so that question is always a beautiful question. I like doing things that are going to enable us to take action and be super practical. Like, I don't need to overcomplicate things. So for the next couple of episodes, it'll be a 6-part series. What I'll do is I will go through and I will tell you the exact steps and the exact process of what I did myself, as well as what I advise other people to do along the way. So just to kick this off, on the first one, I want you to really sit down and think about why you're actually stuck where you are. I was going for a walk with the First Lady this past weekend. And one of the things we were talking about is that we were going through our neighborhood, and there are some amazing trees that happen to go out there. In our yard alone, we have some super tall, probably like 50, 60-foot oak trees that are there. And the craziest part about it is that the shade you sit in today was the seed somebody planted many years ago. And that's kind of similar to what happens in life, is that the results of what you have today was due to decisions you made yesterday. And so the only probability that things are going to change for you in the future is you have to get to a point of making a choice. And so normally when I go and I commit to something, I just say, do it for 90 days. And the reason why I say do it for 90 days is because what you'll realize is that life will get in the way. Life will have other things because you live in the residual of your thoughts, beliefs, and actions. So if we look at our thoughts, beliefs, and actions that you had maybe 2-3 years ago, that's where you are today. So for most people, it's not a lack of information that stops you from having the ability to go out and execute. It's not having one of the 3 components I talked about, which is, number 1, have a guide. Somebody who can tell you exactly the speed bumps that are there. I'll give you a little bit of perspective of why the guide is so important. It was going ahead. We had an issue with our washing machine. And so the washing machine started smelling. And we go through, I started looking up, like normal people do, use a little ChatGPT, you go to YouTube, you start figuring out stuff. And immediately, when I looked at all the different components it was going to take, in my head mentally, I go, that's at least a 6 to 7 hour job. And the thing I know now is I know what my time is worth. But when you don't have that mindset and you have what was referred to more as the middle class mindset, we don't think of things as how much time it costs. Only thing we evaluate is what is it actually going to spend money on? Like, what is the actual cost, not the time associated with it. So guess what I did? I looked at it and said, it's going to take me 6 hours of my time. I would much rather hire somebody to come do it. So I went on the app, found a person came the next day. They were in and out of the house in 45 minutes, fully took the washer apart, realized there was a component that was broken, replaced the component because they already had it, and boom, they were in, out in under an hour. That was one of the most amazing experiences because you get to realize that, damn, not only were they able to diagnose, they were able to figure out by checking a couple of things exactly what was wrong. They were able to clean out the entire washing machine, take it fully apart, put it back together, and leave all in under an hour. And one of the things I value is recognizing exactly what I have the capacity to do and what I do not have the capacity to do. And I have a good friend that always tells me that just because you can doesn't mean you should. One of the things and objectives that you learn when it comes to wealth building is how can I maximize my time? Because time is the most valuable asset that is involved in the world. That's it. I've walked down the street and found a $20 bill. I have never walked down the street and found 20 minutes laying on the ground. It's time, y'all. Because remember, the older you get, the faster time moves. So if time is the thing that matters most, it's the most important thing you can possibly do is get a guide. That guide will be able to help you delineate and figure out exactly what is the thing that you want. So that's part one. The second thing you need is you need a community. The reason why you need a community is because there's nothing better than having other people who are going through a similar situation as you. That helps accelerate speed of understanding. Why do you think we have schools? Yes, some people can learn better in one-on-one scenarios and there's things you can do, but just for the sake of scale, you have schools. But the thing you learn in schools is not necessarily what the teacher's teaching. You learn how to handle people if you know what you're focused on. You have to learn how to deal with people of different walks of life with different challenges. Now, for communities, the thing that I like is that everybody has a shared mission. Right now, you're in the zoo, right? So you're surrounded by zoo animals. And you know what zoo animals care about? Their next meal. What are they going to do? What kind of activities do they have in their own levels of confinement? And they're there just thinking about different confinement-based mentalities. I've learned really quickly that the fastest way to accelerate change in your life is by changing your location of who you spend your time with the most. So if you spend 40 hours a week in a zoo, take an hour a day and spend time in the jungle. Figure out exactly what people are doing and get inspired by those actions. You want to learn and become very efficient at something? Surround yourself with people that are doing those actions. Because what you'll realize is they have different language. They have different goals. They use different verbiage. Everything is different. And the more time you spend around it, through osmosis, you actually will become that person. As long as you're open and willing to receive the information of what you're around. So have a community. And the third thing is teach it. That's always been my philosophy. Once I learn something new, I'm trying to teach it. Because if I can teach something, that means I can comprehend something. If I can comprehend something, it makes it easier in my blueprint of what I need to do. But the main purpose of this is you got to evaluate exactly why you're stuck. Because yes, I will tell you, it took me many, many moons to actually go ahead and go acquire a property. And the thing that I realized when going and acquiring the property is that I got to understand really quickly that I do not like working with tenants. It's not my thing. I don't like it. Some people, yes. I was just talking to a person that does fix and flips yesterday. And my whole thing was, I like being the person who brings capital to deals because that makes my money work for me. I want my money always in motion and never stagnant because inflation ain't gonna slow down. So if I'm running that race and I'm consistent and it's about the marathon, not a sprint, I'm not a sprinter. I want that at least with my money. I'm not sprinting with my money. I want a marathon with my money. Sprint in real life, yeah, I'm a sprinter. But I want that constantly in motion and constantly moving. And I also understand leverage. So for me, the greatest point of leverage is how can I do something that's going to give me the return I need while utilizing the minimum amount of time that I possibly have to do with it. When we grow up in a middle-class society, we look at everything as towards like work. And all we know how to do is translate how much time something's going to take is how much it costs. Because we get paid in hourly. Even if your salary, you still have that mindset. For me, I look at things like leverage. How can I get the maximum amount of return for the minimum amount of effort? And to me, that's being capital partner. Yeah, you give up some control, but that's fine. Anybody that has true level of wealth, you understand that the more people you have involved, the greater the wealth you can be able to generate because it's not relying on you. It's relying on having good systems in place. So looking at this, what I need you to do is that it's really just getting yourself started and getting over the hump and getting clarification because most of the time, if you don't have a definitive plan, then you don't know what the hell you're doing. So how do you build a plan? You got to really understand your number. So one of the first things I look at is I'm going to look at and say, okay, what is my current output per month, right? Figure out your number. Once you figure out your number, then you can figure out, okay, based on lifestyle, is there anything that I can trim the fat on that I really don't require? And just pick the number. Like the number is the number, guys. It doesn't have to be rocket science of being like, oh, well, is it wants? Is it needs? Just pick a number. Because the real thing that ends up happening is that once you pick a number, you can start having clarity of exactly what you need to do in order to replace that number. Because you're going to ask yourself, if my number is $10,000 and I need $10,000 a month, well, what is going to and then you have to figure out time. And I choose to have the ability to leave in the next 5 years. So what you need to do is then look at the number and say, okay, let me break this down into smaller pieces because you have compound interest. So if I look at that $10,000 really over the next 12 months, and I know it's in 5 years, what I'm really looking at is getting $2,000 in some type of revenue that's coming out, or over the course of the year, 24 grand. So because sometimes it's cyclical. If you do fix and flips, it may be 90-day cycles. So fix and flips, 90-day cycles, you can get to a point where maybe you're producing 10% returns. That 10% returns means if I needed to get to 2 grand a month, I need to put down roughly, find a way to cycle a couple hundred grand in cash so I can get that type of return out. It's just math. That's all you're doing. And then once you figure that piece out, it doesn't matter what the number is. It could be $100 a month. It could be $200 a month. The thing that matters more than anything else is that you're getting started. Because what you may realize, I'm here to tell you a secret, whatever you think it's going to be, it's probably going to change because life changes. I mention all the time, the only constant in life is change. So embrace it. Don't resist it. Makes life much more enjoyable to be at peace with. But as you go through and you figure out your number, then you get more clarity of what you want to do. Because this is about a 10-year game, not a 1-year game. So as you're looking at that math, you can then know, because what my real desire for you to do is for you to develop your own personal formula that works. But we'll leave that one for another day. So you go through, you figure out your number. Just start there, because your number plus your time that you're willing to wait will determine exactly what you focus on. Because there's many different ways to get the return that you need. It's just a matter of getting started and figuring out your number. So for episode 1, the primary objective is know your number cold. You got to know, because when you start seeing progress and you start moving towards that number, that's going to enable you to get the returns you possibly need. Man, you start building momentum. And then you go to a place you're like, all right, this number's here. I'm making this. I got it going through. And you start building momentum. You start building momentum. And what happens is, as you start building momentum, what you focus on will grow. You'll see more opportunities. You'll see more things to help you get closer to your destination. And you get one step closer from moving out of the jungle and into, moving out of the zoo directly into the jungle, my friend. So with that being said, the key objective in Atlanta Plane is to make sure you know your number and you get started, because success loves speed. The sooner you get started and the sooner you get locked in, the more you'll find exactly what you're looking for. So I'll save the rest for part 2 that we'll go through. But as always, my friends, if you have any questions or have any comments or things that you're thinking of, like to help you figure out your number, message me. I'm here to help. I'm here to serve. Stay hungry, stay humble, and stay grateful, my friends. Cheers.